And welcome to Sullivan Smart Sense. I'm your host, Heather Sullivan. Well, as you know, we hope that you're making it a habit to join us every Tuesday right here, 12:30 Central, because we are looking at different ways every week to help you save money, to help you get through high inflation. We've got a lot of changes coming down the pike. Of course, we've been seeing gas prices continue to rise and rise and rise. And the Fed is expected to increase the interest rate, and that is going to start affecting all of us. The aim there, of course, is to start bringing down inflation, but it also means that it will affect your financing opportunities. And we want to talk today about something. I did a story on this a few months ago. It was a really popular story, and it was really fantastic to see how doing this can actually help you save nearly $100 a month. That's the average savings that right now I believe is about $96, according to a platform called Rate Genius, on refinancing your auto loan. We want to help you take advantage of the fact that right now, auto prices are still really high. Of course, they've shot up more than 40% during the pandemic for used cars. So that means that car sitting in your driveway is worth more. Rates are still really low. And if you refinance your auto loan, it can really help you cut down that big monthly bill. That's a big bill every month for people. So if we can help you save some money on that, that will hopefully free up your money to help you, buy a can of tuna or, everything else that seems to be escalating in prices. So real quick today, first of all, just want to show you, this is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at auto loan refinancing, how it works, what you might be able to save, what the criteria are to qualify. And we're going to be talking with an expert, the CEO from rategenius.com. So please join me in welcoming to the show. This is Jeff Hutchison, the CEO of Rate Genius. Thanks so much for being with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Heather. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so when I did this story with you guys a few months ago, you guys were seeing a bigger increase in people looking into doing this. So are you still seeing kind of that growing interest in refinancing auto loans?
Well, I just can't let this go. I'm not really a can of tuna guy. More of a peanut butter situation.
I'm big on peanut butter these days too. So I'm with you. We're kindred spirits.
Got to save money any way we can because peanut butter's going up too. No doubt about it. Look, the average consumer, saving, in fact, in 2021, $1,158 on their annual auto loan payment, and that's obviously significant. And market awareness it's increasing every day. As more people are understanding that they can likely improve their existing auto loan. That's increasing consumer interest, which is increasing lender participation. That provides more offers, which means more options, which means more opportunities to potentially save. So yeah, absolutely, we're seeing an increase. We saw a 50% growth in the number of consumers who were able to serve last year, and we saved borrowers about $56.4 million on their auto loans last year. So
wow,
absolutely an increase. And there's a massive amount of savings that we can help people tap into.
Yeah. And so let's just walk through the process. How does it work? Because, most people may have bought a car and maybe they have an auto loan, but they don't know how to go about an auto refinance.
Yeah. So of course, we think the process is pretty straightforward. Go to a marketplace provider like rategenius.com and start the process there. It starts with essentially a bit of an application. It's maybe not the full normal credit application you'll see, but we're going to get some information. And the first thing we want to do is determine the likelihood of success. We don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste credit pulls if we don't think that there's a likelihood that we're going to be able to provide that savings and provide the benefit that we want to. And if we do think that there's a likelihood of success there, we move forward in the process, complete that application, get it to the network of over 180 different lenders and comb through instantaneously using technology to be able to ascertain the thousands of different potential options and offers that exist. And then we want to present those, and then we're able to walk you through the process from there. And it's signing contracts, providing some stipulations, and then you're off to the races and saving.
So how long does the process usually take?
Well, for the consumer involvement aspect of it, it's really minutes. You can get to the point from filling out an application to seeing what the potential rates are and getting that approval in really just a matter of a couple of minutes. And then from there, it's up to the consumer with how prepared they are. Do they have their driver's license and maybe a proof of income if that's required? How organized? Can we help the consumer getting through that process? So it can be really within a matter of hours. You can be often saving.
Before we kind of dive a little more into the criteria and all of that, let's just talk about some of the market conditions that are kind of leading to why this is a good time to do this.
Sure.
As I mentioned, we were seeing used car prices up more than 40%. What are you still seeing in the marketplace in terms of how really people's cars are more valuable than they might think?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But it's still there. Still, some of the similar market conditions are existing. It's a supply and demand issue. Really, demand for cars it's typically pretty stable. People need cars. They need cars to get to work. Their cars break down, they might need a new one. And so demand for cars has remained relatively stable, while of course we all understand the supply side has been disrupted for all sorts of different reasons, whether it's issues in Europe to pandemic related supply chain issues. As you disrupt that supply chain, there's just simply not enough vehicles there to meet the demand that's relatively constant. And that's what that's done, is it's propped up the value of the cars, which is creating additional opportunities to find different and even better approvals than you might otherwise see, and save better rates, better terms that may be potentially available given the good value of that vehicle that's in your driveway.
And then there are some other conditions right now. Lenders are lending. During the pandemic, people overall improved their credit scores. Can you talk about how some of that's really increasing the rate of approvals, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, it's one of the things that, credit migration and improvement with your credit score, it can happen really pretty quickly, especially with an auto loan. Many consumers might start their auto loan at, say, a 640 credit score, which isn't maybe terrible, but the rates available there are a lot, maybe not as good as what you're going to get if you're, say, a 740 or even a 780, something like that. But the path from 640 credit to a 740, 780 is not that long. And and for these folks who are making their payments on time as agreed with their auto loan, the ability to improve the loan that you originally got when you were that 640 is now there and in your face. So really, in any interest rate environment, that credit migration provides great opportunity for many consumers to find savings in their auto loan obligation.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the criteria in terms of mileage, the age of the car, amount owed. I've got a graphic from when I, talked with you guys a couple months ago, but let me pull that up and let's just go through, what do we need to know if we want to look at doing this?
Yeah, I think, what you're showing here is great for a sort of a general rule of thumb. But one of the things I'd like to just highlight, and one of the benefits that Rate Genius is able to, in its model is able to bring to the forefront, is the fact that it is a marketplace. And it's so important in auto finance because there isn't one set of conforming uniform guidelines across all these lenders. Truly, every lender is like a snowflake. They're all different and they have slight different views and opinions about the collateral, your credit. They use different credit models. And so there are, just within the 180 different lenders and the thousands of options, there are actually millions of combinations and permutations of potential offers that could exist given the credit score that's being used, the collateral value and method that's being used. And so really you need to assess this marketplace to determine really what the options are. There just is not one set of guidelines. There's, in fact, hundreds and thousands of them.
That's really encouraging. So is there a way of kind of, and I can show a little bit, I can show your website here. Is there a way of kind of figuring out, what you've got, what type of lender you want to reach out to? Kind of walk me through how someone can kind of make this decision process.
Sure. I mean, the best decision you're going to make is, again, going to rategenius.com, because it's within there is the most robust set of lenders, lender guidelines, their rules, their Piccadillys, and what that technology under Rate Genius does. What's so smart about it, what makes it so genius, is that it can instantly and systematically go through, using soft credit pull information. We can go through and we can shop all of the potential offers and all those millions of combinations and permutations that I mentioned. Let that technology do that. You don't want to go and get on the phone and call all these different lenders. You could, but it would take you months to figure out all of the different options and offers that are available, which you could do in a matter of seconds at rategenius.com.
Okay. Well, let's just talk a little bit though in general, because I mean, I'm sure they probably don't want to pick up a loan if you're, down to your last couple payments. What kind of, are we talking new loans to a few years old loans, or, kind of give me a gauge there?
Sure. Yeah. The most common time frame that we see in a refinance is actually within the first year after you've started a loan that you got, say, at a dealership. The most common month, this is interesting, the most common month, though, within that first year is month 0, which means the most common time that people are actually refinancing is right after they got the loan from the dealership. And that's because there are just systemic limitations that exist within the dealership. It can be everything from conflicts of interest to just a lack of ability to access and the need to have as many lenders as somebody like Rate Genius would. You're just unlikely to get the best rate and the best options at a dealership. We love dealerships. They provide a really important function. But just, again, there's just limitations that exist there. And that's why you can save on your auto loan almost immediately after getting one.
Boy, that's a commentary almost on how the really kind of behooves you to get that pre-qualification perhaps. Yep. Well, and then is there I mean, I'm sure there's probably less interest anyway in refinancing like an old clunker. So is there any kind of, point where it's just got too many miles, too many years old?
I don't think so. And this is one of the things I love to talk about. I'm an auto finance guy. It's all I've ever done. And one of the things that I like to bring up is the fact that the auto loan is one of the most inexpensive debt that you can get. And so if you can find cost and payment savings, and if you can save payment using that low cost debt, you can use those payment savings and maybe the cash you're able to get from an auto loan finance or a refinance, and you can use that to pay down other high cost obligations in your life, personal loans, credit cards, all the tuna you want to buy. It's a lot of money. But you can. It's a very efficient form of capital. You can get it really pretty easily, and you can save, again, a lot of money using it. And the interest rate on auto loans are very low. And you want to prioritize, I think, paying down all those other high cost obligations. And if that means maybe refinancing an old clunker to save maybe a couple $100 or $100 a month, use that savings to pay down all this other high cost interest in your life. And that's a really great way to save money. You're not just saving money on your interest rate on your loan, but your whole cost of borrowing in your life can come down by taking advantage of the low cost of an auto loan.
Yes, that is an awesome tip. You've got the big picture in mind. Hey, we got a great question in from Cornelia, and she's asking, what do you have to do to refinance? So let's just kind of walk through the process, maybe what people need to, do to prepare for this.
Sure. One of the main criteria is you need to have a car. So you're going to need a car, but then you're going to need, things like make sure you have things like your registration, proof of insurance, like you get pulled over by a cop, right? And so make sure you have those things and that they're current and not expired. Yeah. In some cases, lenders are going to be looking to want to make sure that you have the ability to be able to repay this loan, not just by the credit score, which is they'll be able to pull all that. It's a bunch of data that's happening behind the scenes, but they may be looking for things like proof of income. and see that. And so that might be another a key thing to have ready as well. So again, if you go to like a rategenius.com and you start the process there, they'll do all the work to say, look, you either have a likelihood of success or not. And if there is, and we want to move forward, they'll help identify that right lender and the right option. There's loan officers there who can help you and work through this process with you. But the best thing you can do to prepare is just gather those few pieces of information, and it'll make the process a lot more smooth. Hope that helps.
Yeah. And then one of the things that I had talked with you guys about a few months ago was some lenders will even finance more than the value of the car. So essentially you could kind of like you were saying, you know, looking at your big picture of debt, maybe you finance a slightly larger amount that you could use for other things.
That's exactly right. So, you know, there's a few things that go into that. Number one, yeah, there are always cash back options sometimes available. And if you can get cash back on a 5-6% loan and use that cash to pay down, say, a credit card or a personal loan that costs 17, 18 or more, or 30% in some cases in some of these credit cards, that's a great way to, again, access some of that low cost debt to pay down some of the other stuff. And now that you brought that up, there's another thing that is, I think, is important too. Many consumers purchase things like insurance products or vehicle service contracts, things like that I think are very valuable. But sometimes, again, when you're purchasing them from a dealer or some other party, you may not be getting the best price on that. And part of the mission of what Rate Genius is looking to do is not just save money on the auto loan, lower the interest rate, lower the payment. But if you have things like gap insurance and vehicle service contracts, which sometimes go into that higher than the loan value or the vehicle value loan that you're talking about there, if you've purchased that and that's part of your loan, use Rate Genius to lower the cost of those as well. We save typically on something like a vehicle service contract, you might save $1,000 in just getting the right price service contract through your refinance. So there's just so many different facets and ways that you can save using this pretty powerful tool.
And one other trick that I know that consumers use, particularly around the holidays, but you know, maybe it's a way to be helpful during these high inflationary times too, is they'll kind of time it, kind of skip a payment.
Yep.
And it kind of frees up a little cash during the month. Is that something that you see?
That's exactly right. So in the process of once you get your approval and you've signed your contract, typically that next payment isn't due for another 30 days, maybe even 45 days from the time that you sign that contract. So you may have made a payment 15, 20 days ago, but now your next payment isn't due for 30 or 45 days more. So yeah, you kind of are able to build in sort of a skip a payment situation that does free up, hundreds of dollars just in that alone.
Okay. I noticed that you guys popped on here, and I just want to put this on because it's great information. The site, by the way, is rategenius.com. And so they popped on here while we're on here, but they do have this tool that kind of helps you figure out, where you stand, what you need to know. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the loan finder and the tool that you're gonna see there, I'm really glad I got support and somebody, helping and, jumping in and making sure the tool is brought to the forefront there. But yeah, using, going to rategenius.com and using the loan finder, we're able to use some of these criteria, and in the behind the scenes, we're able to use things like soft credit pulls and the different collateral value booking types that all these different lenders could use. And again, we can comb through the thousands of potential offers that we have to find and bubble up the ones that are going to be the best for you, given your collateral, given your credit, given your situation.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for our questions that have popped in. So thank you very much, everybody, for popping in and joining our conversation. And thank you so much, Jeff. This is great information. And I could tell a lot of viewers on this. People were very interested. So hopefully we've helped a lot of people take a hard look, not really just at auto financing, but at opportunities to refinance debt in general. Can really help people, especially through these times. So this was really great information, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather. Really appreciate the time.
You bet. Okay. And so just to recap here, again, we are talking about auto loan refinancing today. And that was Jeff Hutchison with rategenius.com. But if you can also go to fox26houston.com, go to my page, Sullivan Smart Sense. And I did a story on this. It was last fall. It's auto refinancing. But if you want to read a little bit more about it, see the different platforms that are out there to help you, but educate yourself, take a look at it. It might just be an option that can really help you to save some money, free up some money, put you in a better financial position as we continue to move forward. Again, we are expecting interest rates to start going up as soon as tomorrow. The Fed is looking at increasing interest rates and may increase them 4 times this year. As a means to try and curb inflation. So if you want to do any refinancing, sooner better than later is better. You want to take advantage of the lowest rates out there that you can get. Thanks so much for joining us on Sullivan Smart Sense. I'm Heather Sullivan, and we'll see you next time.